Looking for reliable forex analysis? Check out ForexScope for daily forecasts and insights to help you trade smarter. Link in the description and comments.
The International Energy Agency, a leading global energy watchdog, has issued a powerful new assessment that signals a dramatic acceleration in the transition away from fossil fuels, driven by an unprecedented boom in cheaper renewable energy sources. This surge in clean energy is not merely a trend. It is poised to become the dominant force in the global energy landscape over the next decade, rendering the era of fossil fuels effectively inevitable. The IEA's flagship annual report projects that the world will witness the deployment of more renewable energy projects in the coming 5 years than has been achieved in the past 4 decades. Combined, this remarkable expansion is set to meet nearly all of the world's escalating electricity demand, which is forecasted to increase by a substantial 40% over the same period. This surge in demand is fueled by a confluence of factors, including the rapid adoption of electric vehicles, the increasing need for heating and cooling systems, and the immense power requirements of burgeoning artificial intelligence data centers. Adding to this transformative picture, the report highlights a significant renaissance for nuclear power. This resurgence is notably being propelled by major technology companies actively seeking a stable and low-carbon source of electricity to power their expanding data center infrastructure. The IEA anticipates global investment in data centers will reach a staggering $580 billion in 2025, a figure that will actually surpass the $540 billion allocated to global oil supply. This significant shift in investment priorities underscores the growing recognition of the indispensable role of low-carbon electricity in shaping the future energy economy. The agency's findings suggest that this ascendancy of clean energy sources is destined to firmly establish the transition away from the fossil fuel era, even in the face of political headwinds such as calls from certain administrations to reverse green investments in favor of increased oil and gas extraction. Advocates for immediate climate action have seized upon the IEA's report as definitive proof that the global energy transition cannot be halted by any single nation. Speaking in the wake of the report's release, campaigners have urged world leaders to decisively reject a dystopian future dominated by fossil fuels and instead embrace a fast, fair, and funded fossil fuel phase-out. The IEA's projections are expected to provide significant momentum for leaders preparing for upcoming international climate talks, where the ambitious goal of tripling renewable energy capacity by 2030 and accelerating the transition away from fossil fuels, a commitment previously agreed upon at COP28, will be a central focus. It is worth noting that the IEA, headquartered in Paris, has reportedly faced pressure from certain political factions within the United States to present a more optimistic outlook for the fossil fuel industry in its latest report. In response to these pressures, the agency has reportedly reintroduced a scenario from previous analyses that offers a more cautious perspective on the pace of the energy transition. However, analysts specializing in energy markets remain largely unconvinced by these more conservative projections. They argue that such scenarios tend to underestimate the rapid rollout of electric vehicles and consequently overstate future oil consumption compared to the IEA's more central forecasts. Despite these nuances, the overwhelming consensus among many experts is that the rapid expansion of renewables is not just probable, but fundamentally inevitable. The core message from these independent analyses is clear. Renewables and electrification are set to overwhelmingly define the future of energy. Nations that are heavily reliant on energy imports stand to gain the most by embracing this shift. The IEA's modeling consistently shows renewables outperforming all other major energy sources in terms of growth, primarily driven by a powerful surge in cheap solar power, particularly in regions blessed with abundant sunshine like the Middle East and Asia. While specific national policies, such as decisions to scale back support for the renewable energy sector, may impact projections for individual countries, the global trajectory remains one of sustained and rapid expansion for renewables. Indeed, the current landscape is characterized by a palpable revolution in the energy sector. Centered on renewables and electrification, the evidence is compelling and widespread. Electric vehicle sales are experiencing remarkable growth in numerous emerging economies, and solar energy is increasingly becoming a ubiquitous power source, even penetrating regions like the Middle East, countries that have historically depended on Importing fossil fuels are still grappling with the lingering effects of energy crises and are actively seeking to reduce their reliance on volatile and expensive fossil fuel supplies. The argument for a faster transition is not merely environmental, it is also economic and strategic. Accelerated pathways offer the promise of a cheaper, more efficient, and ultimately more secure energy system for all. Conversely, slower transitions risk exacerbating global temperature rises and fueling inefficient energy demand through continued reliance on fossil fuels. As global leaders convene for crucial climate discussions, the call for decisive action is growing louder. Wealthy nations are being urged to commit to ending investments in fossil fuels and significantly increasing climate finance. The IEA's report, in this context, serves as a powerful validation of what many communities on the front lines of climate change have long understood. The fossil fuel era is demonstrably drawing to a close. Yet, the report also highlights a concerning disconnect, suggesting that governments are still lagging in their efforts to build out the clean energy systems essential for this transition, despite the clear signals of peaking oil and coal demand and the surging growth of renewables. Public funds continue to be channeled into new fossil fuel projects that the IEA itself acknowledges are no longer necessary. The imperative for change is no longer a matter of if, but of how quickly and decisively the world embraces the inevitable future of clean, renewable energy.